Your Mind and LSD by Lisa Adams and Ali Hussein. How your brain communicates. The neuron. Step 1. A signal is received by the dendrites from another neuron. These dendrites resemble tree branches. Here on the left, we have the structure of a dendrite, and on the right, we have tree branches found in nature. As you can see, they are very similar when you look at them side by side. Step 2. The signal from the dendrite then goes to the cell body, or soma, and into the nucleus from the dendrites. Here we have the dendrites, where the signal travels to the cell body, or soma, and to the nucleus. Step 3. Within the nucleus, a decision is made to either send the information or to not send the information. Yes or no. Step 4. If the information is sent, an electric impulse or electron is fired from the soma and sent down the axon, which is essentially a wire. Here you can see the electrical impulse leaving the cell body or soma and traveling down the axon. The axon is similar to a wire. The axon is shielded by the myelin sheath, which is a cover that goes around the wire or axon. As we can see on the left, the axon is the structure as a whole, and the myelin sheath are the yellow parts. You can also think of the myelin sheath as an insulator on a bundle of wires. Nodes of Ranvier are small gaps between sections of myelin sheath, which act as a booster for the electrical signal. Here, on the left, you can see that the purple notches between the yellow ovals are the nodes of Ranvier. Step 5. The electrical signal then reaches the telodendria, which are tree-like structures with terminal buttons at the end of their branches. Here, you have the structure as a whole, which is the telodendria found at the end of the axon, and on the ends of the telodendria, you have the terminal buttons. The terminal buttons house balloons called vesicles, which are filled with neurotransmitters. Here you can see the vesicles and the small neurotransmitters within. Step 6. The electrical signal zaps the balloons, or vesicles, causing them to burst and spill out their neurotransmitters, which will float in the synaptic gap. Here you can see the synaptic gap, or synapse, with neurotransmitters floating. The neurotransmitters are released and float within that gap. If you imagine a person jumping from one rock over a gap to another rock, that is essentially what these neurotransmitters are doing. Step 7. The neurotransmitters have a special shape, which will fit into a certain receptor of the next dendrite and will dock. Once the neurotransmitters dock in the receptor site, transmission has occurred and the process starts all over again. This is known as the postsynaptic neuron. The neuron at the beginning of these steps was the presynaptic neuron. LSD and the brain. What neurotransmitter is affected by LSD? LSD has a similar chemical makeup to serotonin. Serotonin is the sensory gatekeeper. It allows all non-essential stimuli to be blocked out. An example would be carrying a conversation with someone and not being distracted by your surroundings. You might notice that your shoes are on too tight. There is a tag on the back of your shirt that is itching your neck, or that birds might be flying overhead and chirping, but you were still able to maintain that conversation, and that's all thanks to serotonin. Here we can see the molecules of serotonin and LSD are similar in makeup. What happens inside the brain when LSD is taken? LSD, or acid, essentially attaches to a serotonin receptor, locks in place, and is held in by folds in the receptor. This is why scientists believe the effects of the hallucinogenic LSD last so long. Here we have a picture of an LSD molecule within a serotonin receptor. The orange string is the flap that holds the LSD molecule within the serotonin receptor. What parts of the brain are affected? LSD, or lysergic acid dithalamide, decreases communication between the brain and regions that make up the default mode network. The DMN is a collection of hub centers that work to control and repress consciousness. The visual cortex is most affected and reacts with parts of the brain under LSD that it normally would not communicate with, causing hallucinations and heightened vision. In the experiment, in the bottom, a placebo is given and LSD is given. A placebo is essentially a sugar pill and acts as a control within this experiment. As you can see with the brain scans under the effects of the placebo, that the brain is not as active and parts of the brain are not communicating with each other. The person who ingested LSD, as you can see by the brain scans, has a highly active brain that is communicating within all parts of it, unlike the placebo group. What are the patterns of behavior, and can you become addicted? The DMN disintegrates under LSD, allowing for an increase in communication between brain networks that are normally highly segregated. This produces a more integrated pattern of connectivity throughout the entire brain, which may be associated with more fluid modes of cognition. Subjects on LSD experience a sense of oneness and unity on the drug. Scientists have found that participants in experiments who take LSD have found that they are very conscious of their ego, that they are in control of their brain. Addiction and understanding the effects. You cannot become addicted to LSD, but long-term health effects result in taking the drug. The complete known effects of LSD on the brain and body are still not fully understood, but scientists hope to answer the questions we still have regarding LSD. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed this presentation.